Welcome back to the Chosen Life podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Hacohen, author of The Bible 3.0, The Six Commandments of the Chosen Life. And our viewers have a beef with me because they're like, we can't keep watching the same second sexiest man in real estate. We need to have number one, bring on number one. It's taken us close to 3 years now, but we found him and we got him. He is the sexiest man in real estate of Forest Hill Aurora, the one and only Mr. Barak Elihis. Barak, welcome to the Chosen Life.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Not 3 years to find it. It took me 3 years in the making. There's a difference in those two.
It's an evolution, right?
It is.
It's funny because, people say, in real estate and in fitness, did you get there yet? Are you there yet? And there's no there, right?
No.
It's just a constant journey. It's a constant path. And Barak, man, we've known each other now, close to a decade at least?
Yeah, since I got licensed, pretty much. You were the only lawyer I've ever used on any deals. So
the only lawyer you ever need. Just
there you go. The chosen.
Over at Kormans LLP. And we have kind of grown together in both life, professionally and personally. I've known you forever. Love you to pieces, man. You are like the funnest guy to hang around. And now all the viewers, the millions and millions watching at home now get to experience you as well. And you're going to be with us for a couple weeks now, and we're going to get to know Mr. Barak. So first and foremost, Barak, welcome to the Chosen Life. We are here filming live in Forest Hill Aurora.
Yes.
Where we have the Turkish coffee, and we got the halva, right?
The halva, there you go.
Got the halva.
It goes well with the coffee.
It goes well with the coffee. You'll have the Turkish coffee, and then you'll have the halva.
There you go.
Barak. There's times, we've been out for dinners and all sorts of engagements together, and I've had a million questions for you, and I'm like, I'm going to save it till I finally get him in front of the camera. So these are questions that you and I have never discussed. Now we get to share it, bring people up to the table with us, and get to explore who is Mr. Barak. So first and foremost, Mr. Barak, tell me, when you were born, raised, going through school, did you always know you're going to be in real estate?
I always, not necessarily real estate, but I always knew I'm going to be something that has to do with people. I was always a people's person. I was always the kind, let me get on the basketball team. Let me do more team plays. Let me hang out with people. I always loved the interaction with people growing up. In my late teens, 19, I was a promoter in downtown Toronto, promoting nightclubs and parties. So I was always involved, one way or another, selling something. Because when you're a promoter, you're still selling something. You're selling the event. You're still telling people, come to my event, forget about the other one. Still it's that type of sales. So I always knew that's my path, is to be something that has to do with people. Now, me personally, I thrive on people when I see someone excited because of me, whether it's a good party that I brought them into and they had so much fun and all that. So real estate was kind of like that thing where it's like, okay, I love homes. I love touring homes. I love communities. And what better excitement when you see someone buying their dream home and they have huge year-to-year smile and excitement and honey, we found our dream home. And you're in there and you're with them. It's like, I feed off of it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it led to the path of the real estate for me. But I always knew there has to be something with people. So
I had a different image. See, I had a feeling that you're watching the movie Don't Mess with the Zohan, and you're watching when he meets the guy from the electronics store going out of business.
It's good for business.
I was in Miami, and there was a store saying that it was going out of business, bankruptcy sale. And the guy, I was talking to him, and I said, so, sorry to hear about your store. He goes, no, don't worry. We're good. So you were not inspired from going out of business on Zohan and wanting to sell people Sony Gats. It's good. It works. See, it's good.
It's funny you said. It's actually my biggest pet peeve. Is one thing about me, and not because I'm on camera, so it's against every fiber of my being when I see something that's cheating in a sense, if it makes sense. We're laughing about the zone, but the idea of it when it's Sony Gets, it's like Sony, but it's Sony Gets, and it's gonna break in 2 weeks. It'll be against every fiber of my being. There was one time I was actually, for a brief period of time, I worked in a locksmith office. And I quit after a month because the whole methodology was upselling people on crazy stuff, like a home lock for $1,000. I'm like, are you guys crazy? And now I have to explain to people why they need to fork that kind of money. It's insane. It goes against every ounce of my being. I can't handle that kind of stuff. It's got to be truth. And that's what we teach everybody in the office here too. Stay true to yourself. That cheating just to get a deal done, I can't handle that. it'll drive me nuts.
I gotta say, like, whenever I've seen you in any kind of setting, whether it's 6 o'clock in the morning or I see you at 11 o'clock at night, you're always put together. Like, do you have a barber and a groomsman like on standby at your house? As soon as you wake up, he grabs the blade and gets going. Like, how often do you have the hair done?
So
Like,
I gotta give a shout out to my buddy Steve at Fantastic Fades. This guy is always on point for me, like always.
are you there daily?
My rule was actually every 10 days. Was like literally a rule. Every 10 days, my cousin is the one who told me that. It's like every 10 days, get a haircut. And it just got stuck with me over the years. And now it's like almost every week. It's an image. If you're not put together and you're frumpy and all that, people are not going to really want to interact with you as much. I'm not saying go put everything Louis Vuitton, Gucci. No, just put together. You know, it's pleasant.
It's funny as a guy, and if you want to have a beard and you want to have it groomed, it's funny. A week, 7 days feels like it's too soon. 14 days feels like it's
long.
when you're at the point that you look like you need a haircut, you've gone to the point of no return now. This is bad, and this is what you don't want. And it's funny, 10 days is, I find the same thing. 10 days is the sweet spot.
Yeah, 100%. During COVID, that was actually one of my hardest things, not being able to get a haircut. I was literally getting depressed over it.
Yeah, as a lot of people did because you didn't have your stuff together.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you know, you could be, like you mentioned, you don't have to wear Louis Vuitton. You don't have to be draped in Burberry. If you have clothes that are fitted to you properly and you're always put together, people notice that. Yeah. Like, to me, you're always ready to be on. If a customer client calls you up and says, Barak, I need you, can you jump over? You're always ready to go. It's not like you're 100%. Sitting there in your pajamas and, you know, it looks like you haven't showered in like days. You're always ready to go. And I think that's something people notice, and that's a reputation. That's a good reputation to have.
Yeah, no, your image is very, very important. Actually, I picked it up even more. I heard the book by Josh Altman, and he said in there, I always have a suit, a spare shirt, a spare pants in my trunk at all times. You'll never catch me off guard. If I have a client calling me right now, I know I can go. And if I get dirty or something, I got backup. Like, he's always on point. And when I read it, I'm like, man, that's genius. It's like, how many times I had to go to the mall, in the spirit of the moment because I accidentally spilled something on myself and it drove me nuts. You know?
At my office, I always have a spare sports coat. So let's say, generally, I always like wearing black T-shirts. That's my thing. Everybody's got their uniform, so to speak. You just put a sport coat on this outfit, and now I'm dressy. You know, it's funny, the mentality of it. So, you know, going from promoter, nightclubs, always being a people person, when was your aha moment? When did you say to yourself, real estate, I'm going to go get my license. Now's the time. When did you realize?
I think I really realized, like, real estate is my path. Funny enough, I tried to get my exam to get licensed in 2009. And the passing mark at that time was 75%, and I had a 73. So the ego in me said, screw this, not for me. And I left it. And then in 2014, my wife just pushed me, like, Brock, you got to go into real estate. You're good with sales.
Did she literally say, bruh?
No, Brock. Sorry. My accent always kicks in.
It's not like she said, bruh.
It's like, Barak, you really got to get into real estate. You got to, like, you're good with sales. You know, you're wasting your time. I was working in a construction company. She's like, don't waste your time. Get your license. Go through it. Do the first test. See how it goes. Got my first exam, passed with flying colors. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Yeah. Got my second. At the time, it was only 3 until then you get licensed, and you got 2 elective to do after that. And then I did my third. I'm like, okay, I guess this is my path. And within a few months of real estate, it just started taking off. But my aha was thankful to my wife because she was the one who's just like, do it. You know?
And once you were fully licensed, did you start off as a part-time realtor or did you go straight into full-time?
I was part-time for about, I want to say 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I went straight full-time.
I can't tell you how many realtors, Barak, I know that, you know, they start off as part-time. They have that, they're like, I need that steady paycheck. I don't feel comfortable yet. And when they finally make that decision, man, the sleepless nights that a lot of them have saying, I'm fully commissioned now. If I don't get a sale, if I don't get a purchase, I'm not eating today. And some, it motivates them to greatness. And some, it's so much anxiety that almost they're afraid to leave the house at one point. Yeah. And how did you find the transition from part-time to full-time?
So I kind of, the transition almost, I had no choice than to deal with it. simply because where I was working, they wanted me to be on the job, and it all ties in because, and I said there was a whole argument, and I couldn't do it, and I had a newborn at home. My wife was on mat leave,
Yeah.
and I left the company. My wife is like, listen, if you think you can do this, fine, leave, do your thing. And I remember I came to Lahav's office. It was a Monday morning. I'm like, Lahav, I just quit my
It's
job.
Di Lahav Resnick, by the way.
Di Lahav
Di Lahav
Resnick.
Resnick.
Shout out, love ya. Monday morning, Lahav, I just quit my job. I'm doing this full time. He's like, okay, hit the phone, go sit in the bullpen and start hitting it up. And because I had no choice but to go succeed, again, newborn, my wife's not working, I had literally no choice. It just happened. But you're right, a lot of people are afraid to take that leap of faith, right? I sit with new agents all the time, when I recruit them. And that's one of the biggest fears, like, well, I'm going to leave my job. How am I going to be secure? If you're a person that's motivated, self-discipline, you can push yourself. It's almost like taking off the Band-Aid. Just do it. Just get into it. If you're that person that's, I can do this, but not right now, and just like not that motivated, or it's hard for you, even that can be fixed. But you gotta love what you're doing. For me, this is not work. For me, it's passion, right? I don't work for my business. I enjoy with my business. There's a difference. So, that's kind of what helped it.
I was going to steer you in one direction as far as my question goes. And as we're talking, I feel a lot differently about it now. Because what I was going to tell you was like this. Can I tell you now, I got called to the bar in 2002. So I've been in real estate for over 20 years now as a lawyer. Worked with brokerages, realtors, and I get to see them from a different angle, right?
Right.
And there are ones that I've worked with, Barak, and 5 years out, 7 years out, even sometimes even 10, right? And successful, doing very well, constant streams of transactions. And then one day I find out they're not in real estate anymore. And I come to them, I said, what's going on? Like, you were just building it up. You started to get your base. Why are you departing? And the same answer I always got from those realtors was, it's not for me. I don't like the stress of it. I don't like the chasing of it. I want the 9 to 5. I want the steadiness. I want the steady paycheck. And I don't want to do this anymore. And I was going to tell you, in so many ways, like, what a shame, like somebody built up something for so long, did so well with it just to leave it alone. But in some ways, you know what? It goes to show you that, people think, oh, I'm just going to go get my license. It's so easy. I'm going to go make $1 million. It's so easy. This occupation we are in, this isn't for everybody.
No.
And even you could be successful at it, and yet it's not for you because you got to want to jump in your car and see a client on a Saturday. You got to pick up your phone on a Friday at 11 o'clock at night when there's a problem. You're either built for that or you're not. What do you think?
100%. It's not for everyone. People seeing shows like Selling Sunset, $1 million listing, think, oh, it's so easy. Look at that. Within 1 hour, they made $120,000. What they don't see is all the needs and grits behind it, right? Our business, it is intense, right? Any business, though. Forget real estate. As a lawyer, fresh out of school, did you right away have clients lined up? Absolutely not. Right? You're day in, day out hustling, podcasts, writing a book. You're always working, right? It is a business. Business is always going to be, you eat what you kill, right? You got to work hard for it. So whether you're real estate or not, you got to be built for that, and it's not for everyone. It really isn't.
What I tell people, in my humble opinion, is to me, there's the magical 10-year mark. If you're going to work for yourself, you need to build up the experience and the knowledge. That's very important. To me, in the first 10 years, for some people it could be 5, but usually it's 10. You're building up experience and knowledge. You're grinding it out. You're ignoring the bottom line, ignoring what money you're making, not making, but you're just building experience and knowledge if you can do that. At some point around the 10-year mark, all of a sudden, things take off. All those people you met from wherever, they're now coming back again. They're introducing you to their friends and family. You now have this base of experience and knowledge. You have proven results. People like you now. You feel more comfortable in your skin. Yeah. But man, it takes time. It takes time. I can tell you, like, I grinded out law for my first 10 years and I hated it. I hated it with a passion. Every day I thought, I'm going to leave law. This is not for me at all. I can't take this. And what I realized was, it wasn't law that was bothering me. It was that I didn't have control of my own destiny. Once I was comfortable that I was captain of my own ship, my own life, and I was getting the support around me appropriately, now I'm ready to take off.
Right.
But that,
It's always that.
there's a lot of fires in Aurora today.
Yeah, it looks like it.
But it was, I could easily have gone at any point and never come back to law and never thought secondly of it. But I thought to myself, you grind it out long enough, you will get good at this, but also you're going to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And when you feel comfortable, people are going to feel comfortable around you, and it became a whole cycle. That's how I found it in law.
100%. You have to be comfortable. If you're not confident in yourself, no one's going to be confident in you. That's the number one thing. Until today, 10 years later in this business, before I go into a listing presentation, I literally practice it in the car. I'll look in the mirror and I'll kind of like say out the rejections and my rebuttals at the same time. Just when I walk in there, I'm already prepped, right? It's always worked for me. Anytime there's a negotiation about to happen, I'm literally sitting in the car or in my head and I'm just practicing of all the things that can go and happen and say and whatever. So I'm pretty much prepared for it, right? 10 years later, I can tell you it doesn't get any easier, right? But you are getting more confident. That's the one thing for sure.
And here's the thing that, it's one thing when you're 20, 22, you have no dependents, no responsibilities. Let's say you don't have debt. Let's say you finish school or what be it, and you don't happen to have debt. You can grind it out without a second thought and make work 24/7. It's very easy to burn out doing that way, but you can. When you get to be our age, right, Barak? And everything takes a little longer and things, break down a lot easier. But in all seriousness, like, it's not just work. There's one thing about being a realtor. How about family, spouse, kids, wanting to exercise, be in the fitness world, and running a business, right? Like, you're not just a realtor, you're also helping realtors run their business. Like, what was the leap from going from realtor to running a office, a brokerage?
First thing, like I said before, like I thrive on people's success. I thrive on when I help someone and they're successful. So that kind of brought me to the management role. I was in office in Vaughan once, and there was a fellow realtor there. She was new. She was really scrabbling to put together a deal. And just like, listen, do this, do that. And I literally helped her out through the whole thing. And she wanted to even split the commission. I'm like, don't worry about splitting the commission. Just do your deal and be happy with it. That's $8,000. I'm just like, don't worry about it. Forget it. It's all good. And that's when I realized, I'm like, you know what? I like this. This is fun. And I reached out to Lav again. I'm like, listen, like.
So it always comes back to Lav.
Well, yeah, like it was Lav, Mikey, Steve, obviously. But like, I don't know. He was just like, we just had the conversation. And one thing will lead to another. It just happened, and then we opened it, and I love it. I honestly love it. I love helping people. I enjoy it. I have fun with it. I don't see it as a burden when people call me for help. I don't. Like, another realtor calls me, it's like, it's like, okay, cool. Well, what do you need? How can I help you? How can I push you? How can I be there for you? Right? I always like being that person that if you see me down the street, is saying hi versus like, oh shit, let me walk across the street so it doesn't see me. That's kind of my methodology on everything. So it kind of like, the glove fit the hand, so to speak.
How did you get introduced to the famous trio? How did you find from Forest Hill, Vaughan, Lahav, Michael, Steve? How did you guys get all introduced to one another?
Honestly?
Remember?
Yeah, I do. I actually started off at a different brokerage when I just got licensed. I was there for a month and a half, and I felt that it wasn't for me. Felt like it was kind of not my style. And I randomly drove on Dufferin by the Vaughan office, and I'm like, let me see what they got to offer, just pure out of randomness. And walked in, sat with Lahav. I think we had a meeting for like maybe 10, 15 minutes. It was fairly quick. I'm like, okay, I like this guy. Yeah. And that's it. And he just, from that point on, he just took off. That was a very quick, rash decision that would really change my path in real estate.
If you hadn't done that drive that day and you hadn't bumped into Lahav that way and gone into that office and you'd stayed where you were, do you ever think about how different your life would have been?
Probably still being a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. All right. Not that it's a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has their niche, but I would have been miserable. I don't like sitting in one spot. I need to move around. But yeah, life would definitely look different for sure.
I think all the time, if I hadn't met David Korman, my partner at Kormans LLP, and I got introduced to him, how different was. I had a different mindset of where I was at in law. And it's so funny. You meet your future partners and you grow together, and like I can't imagine you without Lahav, Mike, and Steve now. Like it's like It's amazing the synergy of how it kind of comes together, you know,
Yeah,
and the
no.
universe works in its funny ways. You know, when we talk about 9 to 5 job, and I agree, I don't want to belittle people on a 9 to 5 job. To me, I tell people it's not a question of the 9 to 5 and the steady income. It's either you're your own boss or you're not.
Exactly.
And when you're a realtor, when you decide you're going to go into it, you're not working for the brokerage per se. You are your own boss. Every
Correct.
single realtor in the office here is running their own business essentially, and has a support and education, etc., through the brokerage. But everybody who decides and stays in this business ultimately is running their own business.
100%. More times than not, I feel like I'm working for the realtors, not the realtors working for me. And that's how it's supposed to be. I'm there for them. I'm there to support them, right? And that's how, you know, some managers or some offices out there forget that rule. Like, we're here to service these realtors. We're here to back them up, to see them succeed, right? Even the whole business model behind Forest Hill makes sense for that, right?
So how did you pick Aurora and put in this office? And what was the dynamic for you and Forest Hill in having an Aurora office? Because I can say I've given a lot of seminars here at the office. It's a very special group of people that have come together.
Yeah.
It's a very laid back atmosphere. It's a different mindset in Aurora. So tell me a little bit more about Aurora and Forest Hill.
Actually, it's funny enough. Originally, we are gonna go Newmarket, and then this place just came up for lease, and we just said, okay, you know what? Like, I love this. Like, we're in an iconic building in Aurora, right on Yonge and Wellington, where the big old Canada mural is. You can't go wrong with that. Everybody knows our location. Everybody knows where we are. Aurora has always been that community where it's like a town, a small town feel within a big city kind of thing. And that's what we love about it. The luxury market here is booming like crazy. And Forest Hill being the luxury brand that it is, it just kind of made sense. There actually weren't any luxury brands within the Aurora Newmarket area. A lot of them are, you know, I would say Vaughan and more south. So it made sense to, okay, you know what? And they need a luxury brand. There is a lot of luxury real estate to be had in Aurora. There is quite a bit of developments happening here. It's expanding like crazy. So it kind of, we sat down, and the whole dynamic between Aurora, Newmarket, Oak Ridges, East Gwillimbury, King City, it just made perfect sense that Forest Hill would be the perfect solution for this market. And when we just opened up, we had a sign outside saying coming soon. A bunch of realtors reached out right away. Like, people believed in it. They said, okay, you know what? Something new, something fresh coming to town.
So if I'm an existing realtor or a brand new realtor or somebody who's thinking about getting in the industry, why pick Forest Hill Aurora? Why have this as one's branch? What is the difference maker in being here and part of this office?
I mean, Forest Hill Aurora, we're part of the Forest Hill legacy team. So it's Aurora, Vaughan, and Midtown, and we're the same. And why come to, like, dude, honestly, like you said it before, we're laid back. We like to have fun. As much as we work hard, we know how to play hard as well. And it's a good balance between the two, right? You walk through our office, and you've been here how many times, and no one locks their doors. People are trusting of one another. How many offices can say that, right? How many offices can say that we actually invest so much in team building, not like literally teams, but like for everybody to be good with one another, right? Whether it's going for outings, and you've been with us a few times, our parties or events. It's not so much about, okay, let's go crazy, but it's the team building. Because now if you look at our WhatsApp, and you'll see everybody just helping one another willingly. Oh, I need this, I need that. And people are like, oh yeah, here, there you go, without saying, oh, you want my help? I want 25%, right? It rarely exists. Right?
It's a very busy WhatsApp group. Any little thing in real estate, it's been asked, and everybody jumps to help one another. Very different kind of feel. If I had to put, you know, it's not just Aurora, like you said, it's also Forest Hill Vaughan, Forest Hill Witchwood, the Legacy Group, Midtown. It's there's an identity.
There is.
And there's family. And when I give a seminar, I could be at any of the 3 offices, and anybody can pop in from any of the offices. It's all inclusive. If somebody from Midtown is in Aurora for the day, they can come work in Aurora. Somebody in Aurora can go work in Vaughan.
100%.
And it's all open doors.
Yeah.
And I love it. There's an identity feel to it. And I got to say, man, compared to other brands, you see people that come and like the brand and understand it. They get the support of their team leaders, and they get the education, and they stay, and they're loyal. And loyalty in this day and age is not an easy thing.
No, it's not.
And so it goes back both ways, you know. Like it doesn't feel like top down. Like some bigger brokerages, you find like, you know, I'm the president, I'm the CEO. It feels like when they're talking to somebody, they're talking down to people. At Forest Hill, everybody's on the same level. Everybody's
100%.
talking to everybody at that level.
Yeah, no, we make everybody feel equal. There is no one working for the other. Everybody is the same. My biggest, methodology in life is that everybody's meat and bones. There's no difference between you and I, right? And that's how everybody should be treating one another, right? I'm not above you because I'm a manager, not at all. Like I said, if anything, I'm working for you, right? Look at, again, I know going back to the guys, but even Lahab does basketball tournaments at his backyard. He's opening his house. Come, let's have fun. And that's a community we want to build, right? Our turnover rate is very little for that. We have rarely people that want to leave. In 3 years that we've been open, I think we have maybe 3 or 4 people leave. That's it, right? And a couple came back. So it's like very rarely do people leave. People stay here. They grow roots here, and that's what we love to see.
So we're gonna have you back for a couple of weeks, Barak. 'Cause I got so many more questions. 'Cause there's so much more to Barak besides real estate. But I gotta ask you one final question as we end today's episode. If you were to sit down with younger Barak, so where you are today in life, if you got to sit down with 20, 30-year-old Barak, what advice would you give younger Barak in real estate and in life, looking back on it?
I think the one advice I wish I gave myself when I was 20 years old is getting to the marketing more and more. Like the whole podcast, it still wasn't up and coming. Like I would have said, get in front of the camera a lot more. I wasn't always comfortable being in front of cameras for a few reasons, but that was one thing I wish I told myself. Get in front of the camera, get yourself out there more than you were before. So that's definitely one thing. And then in life, that I'm going to answer on the next episode when we talk about more of the in life stuff, We're
going to talk about lifestyle. We're going to find out about Barak, the bodybuilder. So this has been Barak Elihis of Forest Hill Aurora. I'm Jonathan A. Hacohen. We'll see you back next week.
See you next week
on the Chosen Life podcast.